It is the single largest economy in Europe and the world's fourth largest economy. Of course, I'm talking about Germany. But even with this impressive economical resume, the Germans, like many other nations around the world, are feeling the pinch on their economy. The impact of the coronavirus has seen Germany see its widest fall in production and output since the financial crisis a decade ago, and is the second largest since German reunification back in 1990.
Wir gehen davon aus, dass die Wirtschaft der Bundesrepublik Deutschland in diesem Jahr 6,3%, also rund 6% schrumpfen wird und dass sie sich im nächsten Jahr etwa 5,2%, also rund 5% erholen wird. Das heißt, dass wir aller Voraussicht nach zu Beginn des Jahres 2022
not just limited to Germany. When you take a look at the wider European Union, it is also suffering economic losses. But could the strength of the European Union be the savior in times of such crisis? Well, according to the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, the solution is indeed European solidarity.
Europa muss zusammenstehen und deshalb geht es um die wirtschaftliche, schnelle Erholung. Und deshalb wollen wir einen zeitlich befristeten Fonds auflegen im Umfang von 500 Milliarden Euro, der EU-Haushaltsausgaben, also keine Kredite, sondern Haushaltsausgaben für die am stärksten betroffenen Sektoren und Regionen bereitstellen soll.
Hello, welcome to Economic Divide with me, Kavit Afwahi. In this week's episode, we will be looking at the impact of the COVID-19 virus on the German economy and study how it will recover compared to other EU nations. We will also look at Germany's role in the supranational institution. As always, we want to hear from you concerning matters on this topic or any other topic that you want to share with us. So log on to our Twitter page using the feed @ED_program, where you can leave us a comment, post us a message, or share a story. Well, the first quarter of 2020 has seen the German GDP contract some 2.2% in the first quarter, which is the second largest decline since the year 2009, where it fell 4.7%. However, the worst was still yet to come for Germany, as its relatively late lockdown date means the full scope of the impact has yet to be felt. Foreign trade has also suffered in the last 6 months, with exports from Germany dropping 3.1%, taking into account adjustments. The importation of goods also fell by 1.6%, as logistics and transport across Europe came to a halt. Now, taking a look at countries across the continents, and in particular, I'm talking about the Northern European countries. They have suffered less than their southern counterparts, with the Dutch economy, for example, shrinking only 1.7% compared to that of Italy at 4.7%. France and Spain have also seen 5.8% and 5.2% respectively, showing that Europe has a wide range of problems to deal with.
Germany is the world's fourth largest economy, and until the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus was very much on the rise. However, the 2.2% slip has taken a toll, although it's a toll much smaller than many other European and in fact global nations who have suffered much worse. Germany is not only Europe's largest economy, but it's also its strongest. One of the main reasons behind this is the German industrial machine. Unlike many other European countries, Germany has shied away from the service industry and concentrated on the hardware industry. The UK, for example, has no industrial output since Margaret Thatcher privatised everything. But Germany does, and hence a very strong core in its economy, seeing the likes of the automobile manufacturing, electronic and chemical engineering industries playing a large part in their GDP. Companies such as Siemens, for example, is highly active across the globe, bringing in the German electrical company some €86.8 billion per year, and employing some 385,000 people globally. Another German giant is BASF, the chemical company which itself turns over some €59 billion and employs nearly 120,000 people worldwide. The combined manufacturing turnover in Germany is some €1,893 billion per year, and the combined sectors employ some 6.2 million people in Germany alone. There's over 45,000 industrial enterprises in Germany, hence giving it the most solid economy in Europe. So what happens when things go wrong? Naturally, Germany wasn't immune to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, and has seen the effects hit hard in some sectors, with one of them being the national carrier, Lufthansa, which, like many airlines, fell into difficulty due to reduced and cancelled flight schedules. But the German government was quick to help out.
Die Bundesregierung ist in intensiven Gesprächen mit dem Unternehmen und der EU-Kommission. Es ist in Kürze mit einer Entscheidung zu rechnen, aber zu laufenden Gesprächen kann ich keine Details berichten. Das werden Sie verstehen und ich würde auch den Rat ausgeben, warten Sie das Ende der Gespräche ab. Es ist in Kürze mit einer Entscheidung zu rechnen, aber sie muss dann auch fertig sein.
Following negotiations between the government and Lufthansa, the federal government of Germany injected a €9 billion cash bailout into the company, and in the process claimed a 20% stake in the company. However, conflict arose following the offer, with Lufthansa reconsidering over monopoly rules, meaning that certain slots would have to be sacrificed at two of its main hubs, namely Frankfurt and Munich.
The recession that is about to hit Germany is likely to leave a legacy on the labor market and the government budget. Now, as I speak, the unemployment rate is expected to rise by about 6%, 5.9%, and will see temporary and part-time workers rise by 2.5 million people. As a consequence of the rise in unemployment and the loss of income, the divide in the poverty gap is also widening in Germany. This should see an increase of about 30%. This would be between the rich and the poor. Now, average earning figures for people in the meridian of the income scale were earning around 1,740 euros per month after taxes, with those earning in excess of 3,500 euros per month being deemed in the upper bracket. However, the divide comes at the lower end, where more people are now finding themselves earning less than 1,000 euros per month. And coincidentally, most of those are located in Eastern Germany. Now let's take a look at one of Germany's most important industries, namely the auto industry, and find out how they are dealing with the economic downturn. The latest news indicates it has taken a massive hit. It's so bad there that in January of this year, actually, when the COVID pandemic had just begun in that country, Germany's production had hit a 22-year low.
As previously mentioned, Germany is heavily dependent and highly successful due to its four pillars of industry, namely mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, electrical engineering, and of course the most famous, the automobile industry. We're all familiar with the German car, the pristine German design, engineering, stability, class and performance, with big names such as Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi and Volkswagen, all contributing to the production market. It's no wonder that the export ratio of German cars is 48.8%. When one assesses the figures involved in the German car industry, one can see why Germany has been able to cope so well with the downturn, and also as to why it will recover much faster than other nations. In 2018, 3.99 million cars were exported from Germany abroad, with the export-only turnover coming in at some 223 billion euros, and saw the United States of America being the largest importer of German cars. In 2019, 6.3 million cars were made in Germany, and of those companies, almost a third of them have produced new products since the year 2017. The industry in Germany alone employs some 480,000 people, many of which are in the big four companies mentioned earlier. However, the arrival of the coronavirus came as a shock to the German automobile industry, with production rates slashed by some 61% in April. Yet the Germans have come up with a stroke of genius in how it's going to deal with the slump. But rather than offering a bailout to the companies, German Chancellor Angela Merkel has held discussions with car makers on the prospect of providing buyers with subsidies to purchase new cars, meaning the market stabilizes itself. Another blow to the German car industry, however, came from one particular manufacturer, namely Volkswagen, which saw its name and reputation tarnished from the so-called Dieselgate affairs, in which devices were fitted to diesel cars, changing the exhaust data of emissions. A court in Germany has just recently ruled that Volkswagen must now pay compensation to buyers who bought the vehicles in good faith. The court's decision to award the ruling against VW may now see thousands more claimants come forward, potentially costing the company in the region of €830 million, on top of the nearly $25 billion lawsuit paid out in 2016 with the US and other countries.
Joining me in the studio today is Dr. Hans-Michael Trautwein, Professor of International Economics at the University of Oldenburg in Germany. He's the managing editor of the European Journal of the History of Economic Thought and holds memberships in multiple academic organizations. Professor, thanks for being with us.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's look at the first question. Basically, Germany, like most EU nations, it's seen a slip in its economic output, but it has a strong economy. Do you think Germany is going to be able to recover quicker from the recession due to a strong economic base?
Yes, I think Germany is in a lucky position in many ways. First of all, it has suffered much smaller losses from the disease itself, at least so far, than many other countries. Mortality is relatively low. The cost of fighting the disease in the health sector is not as high as in many other countries. And second, Germany is, of course, a large and well-diversified economy in a strong financial position and at the center of Europe. But it depends all on the sectors that Germany is also depending on very much, the German economy. The corona crisis hits both sides, the supply side and the demand sides in the economy. And on the supply side, the strong sector in Germany is car manufacturing, the automobile industries, and how that will be affected in the longer run is very uncertain right now. I mean, we discuss about recovery in different terms. It could be V-shaped, a short dip. It could be U-shaped with a protracted recession, or it could be an L-shape with a structural break.
But when we take a look at Europe as a whole, or some countries, it appears are better equipped to emerge from this recession than the others. Do you think any particular country is actually going to do better or worse than others? And more importantly, will the EU come together to help out those who are struggling?
Yeah, well, I think Germany may still come out quite well, and so may also some of the smaller economies, such as Austria, maybe Finland, and others who cooperate very closely in supply chains and other industries. But that's mainly because they have been less affected and have more means to pay for the recovery programs. Most important is that there is now more of a political will to have the European Union to help those countries that are struggling with much higher costs and more difficult structures.
Well, finally, Germany is seen by many as the backbone of the EU. No surprise there. Will Angela Merkel likely leave a legacy in how she deals with the economy of Germany following the pandemic, and also in how she helps the rest of Europe?
We should not look to Merkel too much as a single person, as a leader. The German government is a much more complex structure, and Angela Merkel actually is more of a moderator of conflicting views in the federal structures of Germany and the structures of the European Union as well. And we do not yet fully understand why Germany has come through the corona crisis so well so far. There is no distinct Merkel approach to handling it other than moderating the debates over the strategy. But with regard to Europe, I think her position is much clearer. She has understood that a flexible response to the pandemic and a strong cooperation with France and other countries in Europe is important, that Germany must take the initiatives to help the countries that suffered a lot more from the pandemic. And she makes it crystal clear right now, and may leave a legacy in that sense, that Germany needs the European Union, including the weaker member states, as much as the European Union needs a cooperating German government.
Very well. Thank you so much, Professor Hans-Michael Trautwein from the University of Oldenburg. Many thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break here on Economic Divide. Don't go anywhere because we have plenty more coming up. We're going to take a look at how other European nations are faring when it comes to their economies and the impact of the coronavirus, as well as looking at how the European Union as an entity will deal with the problem, assessing whether as a bloc they will fare better than those who decided to go to it alone. We're also joined by a regular journalist and researcher Atifeh Padidar, who will be running through some of the news that made headlines on social media and some of the research that she has actually done on Germany and its recession. And finally, we'll be looking at other economic headlines making the news around the world. So stay right where you are. We'll be right back. It's that time of the show where we move away from our main topic and look at some of the economic news headlines making the front pages from around the world. First up to the UK, where a combination of the COVID-19 outbreak and the early stages of Brexit have seen its retail industry plummet by 18.1%. On the upside, however, online sales rose 30%. Over to South America now, where in Chile, the national airline LATAM has filed for U.S. bankruptcy protection, becoming the world's largest carrier so far to seek an emergency reorganization. One of the world's poorest nations, Sudan, has suffered another blow as inflation hits 99% due to soaring food prices. This comes after rates were already at 82% last month. And finally, things keep getting worse for the U.S. workforce. We've seen another 2.4 million people file for unemployment benefits, bringing the total to 39 million this year. Now, let's check out how other European nations are dealing with a financial downturn.
Much like Germany, other European nations also hold important industrial roles in the world, with the likes of France and Italy, for example, both emulating some of Germany's skills and have developed them over the decades, with the saviour for many being a solid automobile industry. Both France and Italy have a long-standing manufacturing history in the field of automobile production, with France seeing the likes of Peugeot, Citroën and Renault, as well as the supercar Bugatti. Italy in turn has Fiat, Alfa Romeo, and of course, it also has its fair share of luxury cars too. However, both have suffered a blow to their car industry, with French President Emmanuel Macron announcing an 8 billion aid package to the French car industry, and much like the Germans, copying a similar scheme, hence helping out the 400,000 people employed within the French car industry. Consumers will be given a €12,000 deal to swap their fuel-powered car for an electric one, hence aiming to end the 90% drop in vehicle sales. Across the European Union, the slumps in GDP have been reflected across the field, with the overall average falling at around 3.8%. Italy itself has seen its economy shrink by 4.7%, and France by 5.8%. However, help is at hand in the form of collaboration with other states in the European Union, meaning that the drops across Europe have a cushion to absorb the blow, with finance ministers discussing potential aid and packages.
Es ist ein ganz großer Fortschritt, dass wir, nachdem es sehr schnell gelungen ist und viel schneller als vor 10 Jahren in der Schuldenkrise, die die Europäische Union deshalb damals umgetrieben hat, eine Einigung herbeizuführen über ein erstes 500 Milliarden Paket, dass wir jetzt ein zweites auf den Weg bringen können. Das erste Paket hatte sehr klare Konturen. Es geht um die Unterstützung kleiner und mittlerer Unternehmen mit der Europäischen Investitionsbank. Es geht darum, Kurzarbeit möglich zu machen in allen Ländern, die das auch nicht haben. Und es geht darum, dass wir einen Weg finden, wie wir sicherstellen können, dass die Finanzierung der Staaten besser gesichert ist durch den europäischen Stabilitätsmechanismus.
This was reflected by the French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire, who backed the notion of solidarity.
La France et l'Allemagne affirment haut et fort leur volonté de voir la solidarité entre États européens placée au cœur de la construction européenne. Parce que la solidarité, c'est recevoir à mesure de ce qu'on a été touché par la crise du coronavirus et rembourser en fonction de ses capacités économiques.
However, for the UK, things are not looking so rosy. With no industrial production left to their name, and car factories in the UK being solely assembly points rather than production plants, the UK's decision to turn to the service industry could mean its decline has no first rung on the ladder to recuperate. The GDP in the UK has already fallen by 5.8%, with the Bank of England stating that it could fall to 14% by the end of the year, with a huge 25% dip in the second quarter. But with the British pulling out of the European Union and many of the service industries in total freefall, the EU are no longer at the side of the Brits, and hence they'll not be handing them any of the EU funds agreed upon by the European financial chiefs.
Time to have Atife Padidar join us. She is our researcher and journalist, and she's going to tell us more about what Germany is experiencing these days.
Things are not looking good, Kaveh. As we already know, Germany fell into recession in the first 3 months of 2020. This is the second fastest shrinkage for Germany since its reunification in 1919. The coronavirus pandemic bites into everything, from retail to auto export. Everything is affected. But figures show that this is not all the work of COVID-19. In fact, Germany had financial problems since 6 years ago, and 2019 has been the slowest year for Germany's economy. So what happened then? Why Germany, the Europe's powerhouse, is struggling financially? One of the main reasons is US-China trade dispute. The war on tariffs made Germany miserable. At the same time, plus all those emission cheating scandals and a global shift to electrical engines made things worse. Now, predictions are that there is going to be 24% revenue drop this year. And now we all know what does this mean. Major job losses in Germany industry. And this means a rise in inequality. The gap between rich and poor is going to be even wider, and the middle class is going to vanish once more.
Yes, unfortunate for Germany. Thank you so much, Atafe, for valuable information. We appreciate that. Good, we have to wait and see how Germany is going to be coming out of this pandemic. I mean, the whole idea of European unity here, the cornerstone for the EU or European Union project, is now at question. The Union has been too slow to react and come to the rescue of its members, like in the case of Italy. But will they pull it together as to prevent the fall of the Union during this pandemic?
They say that in times of crisis, you find out who your real friends are, and the COVID-19 pandemic has proven to be one serious crisis for the world. But luckily for 27 friends, the EU is an institute that provides stability, certainty, and support. One of the first tasks at hand when facing a crisis is to admit that there's a problem.
The euro area is facing an economic contraction of a magnitude and speed that are unprecedented in peacetime.
From then, once a problem's been identified, it's important to understand the details of the problem.
Given the high uncertainty surrounding the ultimate extent of the economic fallout, growth scenarios produced by ECB staff suggest that euro area GDP could fall by between 5 and 12% this year.
The final step is to share the problem and understand that the notion of a problem shared is a problem solved. And in this case, by acting together, the burdens can be spread out and mutual cooperation becomes a key to success.
Wir sollten bereit sein, im Geiste der Solidarität über einen begrenzten Zeitraum hinweg ganz andere, das heißt deutlich höhere Beiträge zum europäischen Haushalt zu leisten. Denn wir wollen, dass alle Mitgliedstaaten in der Europäischen Union sich wirtschaftlich wieder erholen können.
With the EU promising some 750 billion euros to member countries, sorry Britain, none for you, there's still hope on the horizon for all members as Europe's largest economy. Germany has had a change of heart when it comes to bailing out weaker EU states, with Angela Merkel encouraging the EU to borrow money in vast quantities and flow the cash towards the nations that need it the most. This comes at a time when Angela Merkel has promised to step down as her role of Chancellor, which saw her not only mediate the needs of each German federal state, but also saw her as the leading facilitator in Europe, meaning the act of leadership and unity she's just shown will no doubt be the legacy that Merkel leaves behind at the end of the year.
Having a strong and productive economy is the equivalent of being fit and healthy when faced with a human health problem. Namely, the fitter and stronger you are, the better you can deal with and recover from a problem. Now, for Germany, the powerful industrial background that it has means that it has an advantage over other European nations who rely more on human-oriented sectors, such as services, hospitality, and leisure, therefore meaning that it may well emerge faster and stronger than others. Don't forget, we want to hear from you, so log on to our Twitter account and look us up using @ED_program. Drop us a line, comment, or story that you want to share. We look forward to hearing from you. Furthermore, you can check out all of our previous episodes of Economic Divide by visiting the program section on our website, and that's available 24 hours a day. That's about it for this week. I've been Kaveh Tagway, and on behalf of myself and the whole team here on Economic Divide, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.